All right. Welcome to our first PTSA listening session. And we're so excited to have Philip Allen and Michael Faith joining us. We're going to let them introduce themselves and then ask them some questions to help us understand why they're running for SBDM and what they'll bring to that table. I'm going to ask, you're the only business on the agenda for today. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll start with Michael Faith. I'd love an introduction, and then if you could tell us why you chose to run for SBDM at Ballard.
I'm Mike Faith. Nothing spectacular about me. I have an emergency services background. I am a senior operations project manager, and I also own a small business with my wife. The reason that I'd like to step up and help out with the SBDM is I've had Austin, Alyssa, Kara, Olivia, Brian, and Brianna. She's attending there now, but a lot of kids have come through Ballard. I've seen some challenges that can be better, but I've also seen a lot of silver lining and highlights. I have the pleasure of helping out with a couple of the sports teams. And it's beautiful seeing, young people step up to the plate, even though they are having challenging situations at home. So Ballard has given us a lot as far as what they have done for my kids. And I'm just trying to give back what I can. Just dad trying to give back the best he can.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Mr. Allen.
Yes, I've been in Jefferson County since 2001. Met my wife at UK, and she's from here. We came here. She's a teacher over at Farmer Elementary over in Fern Creek, J-Town area, and she's been doing that been a teacher for about 22 years. So, kind of seen the elementary part of it, especially with our two sons growing up and going through the JCPS system. My oldest son just finished high school at Mayo last year, and he's now a freshman at UK. My youngest son is a sophomore at Ballard, and so I've kind of seen the traditional program on one side of it with Mayo, and I'm kind of seeing how Ballard does things a little differently. Like Mr. Faith said, I saw the opportunity for a chance to help out and to give back, and I've been in the business world locally in the banking system, and I've been in the industrial systems in the accounting departments, and I currently work at a property management firm that helps people with disabilities find home and stay in them, and get healthcare and various other counseling and whatnot. So trying to expand my time where I work a little less and I give a little more. So this job gives me the opportunity. They're very flexible with time. We only work 4 days a week, so I've got Fridays off, and so I've been able to jump in and help with my son, his never-ending soccer practices and games, it seems like. So I like the vibe at Ballard, and I just wanted to, maybe jump in and help out and give my perspective on things and help keep the school nice and make it better, hopefully.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. That's a wonderful introduction. I really appreciate that from both of you. All right. The first question I had was if you could each expound on, I'm going to throw a random number out there, 3. If you could give us 3 things that you think that Ballard is doing really well. And we'll start with Mr. Faith. We'll just go back and forth. Oh, you're muted again. Sorry. Thanks.
Sorry about that.
Sure.
So with just right out the gate, these coaches that step up and help out with our young people, they give a lot of their personal time, and their spouses give up time, children give up time, and these coaches are growing young men and women. So that is my number one highlight, and I get to see that almost on a daily basis. It's amazing, and to see it behind the scenes, how hard they work, the effort that they put into growing students. I think that's the big number one. Number 2, you see a lot of teachers, the counselors, admin, just the whole team They want to see these students grow and go on to do better things. Not everybody is meant for college, but they do their very best to get them there, and help them on their journey. And then the third thing that I've seen a lot, and again, it goes back to the staff and even parents that step up to the plate. There are some kids that are struggling at home. Home life isn't the best. And regularly over the last, 10 years, I've seen people just step up and help young men and women, and to see them come back, whether they went into the military, they come back, or they have children of their own now. It's beautiful. So, those are three things just right off the top of my head.
Thank you. Wonderful. Mr. Allen.
The first day of school, Henry was at school, and he was waiting for his bus. And he called me and said, "Dad, I've been here an hour and my bus hasn't showed up." I was like, "Okay, I'll come get you." And I pull up and I'm thinking he's going to be the last one on campus. And I've been in that situation where I've missed something. I look over, and he's sitting on a bench waiting for me. And behind him, I see probably 6 or 8 of the staff waiting there with him to make sure he was taken care of. And that really showed me that the people there really care about the kids. I had a great experience in high school growing up. I grew up in a small town south of Bowling Green, and I hope my kids could have that experience as well, where you make a lifelong friends you still keep in touch with later. You look back and you have the nostalgic views of going to games and homecoming and whatnot. So I want to be a part of helping my son also have that experience. And back to what Mr. Faith said as well, we see a lot of bad news a lot of times about the schools with disciplinary actions and things on the bus, and recently pepper spray at Butler, and they've got to postpone homecoming. And that sounds like a cry for help sometimes, I think. And I want to be a part of helping these kids not have to resort to situations where they feel like they have to do that to protect themselves. And I just want to help create a culture that helps them get prepared for the next step in life.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So the follow-up to 3 positive things would be to ask you what you see challenges that Ballard is currently facing.
How many things? 3?
It doesn't matter.
Oh, okay. Well, Ballard, actually all of JCPS is struggling with the bus situation. That's not something that Ballard can fix, but you see a lot of parents trying to help offset that with the pickup and drop off. I know that if you don't hit that window just right in the morning and in the afternoon, you can plan on camping out in line. They're doing the best they can with that traffic pattern there. With very little investment, I feel like we could make that a whole lot better. So that's one challenge right out the gate, just getting the kids to class on time. In some cases, you see these kids, they're really, it's like they're getting ready to jump out of a plane with their parachute, The parents are moving out. All right, you better be ready to jump and have all your stuff, because I'm not stopping, because the line behind me is a mile long. So that, I feel like that creates some stress for a lot of the probably the underclassmen. I feel like the seniors have already got that figured out. They get there when they get there. But that's some undue stress in the morning. And, some of the kids, they depend on getting in there and getting some breakfast and stuff. So that's one glaring thing that stands out to me, just right out the gate.
Great. Thank you so much, Mr. Allen.
I would say that transportation has improved somewhat, so I would agree with that. I think I wouldn't say the communication is bad. I think they do a great job of that. I've noticed sometimes they did emphasize in the emails to the parents. There was like a little blurb at the bottom about the dress code. And I noticed a lot of times in the morning when I'm dropping Henry off, there's a lot of girls that are not following that dress code, to the point where if I was a high schooler, I'd be distracted by that if I was sitting in a room with them. So I guess the enforcement of rules, being an accountant, it's all about knowing the rules and enforcing the rules and determining what's the best course of action when the rules are broken, and adjusting the rules if needed. If times change and cultures change, you have to adapt to that. So I haven't heard of any behavioral issues from my son, from other students where he's being bullied. That was a problem in his middle school a lot of times. I have heard several things about, issues with vaping, and also, maybe vaping THC or whatever they're putting in the cartridges that's similar to marijuana. So that's probably a continual issue in every school nowadays, considering the vapes look like USB, drives. So I guess just that's the only two issues I can think of off the top of my head that have he's brought to my attention.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, I have sort of personalized questions now for each of you, and I'll start with Mr. Faith. I was very impressed with your bio, with the number of children that you've had come through Ballard. I have my fourth child at Ballard right now, so I too have had a slew of them come through. And children are very different, and they have lots of different needs. And I was going to ask how Ballard has done for you in supporting your children where they are, because I'm assuming they've had different needs. And how has that gone?
Well, I've got several children that are absolutely brilliant. ADHD has run rampant in my DNA. I have ADHD, so but I do have a special needs daughter. She's 26 now, and when she went to Ballard, she was in a special program there that helped her, really helped her feel good about herself, and she was able to get a high school diploma. When she tests out, because of her brain injury, she tests out at an 8th grade level, but she was able to make it through it and get that piece of paper, which is so important to everybody in the world. I've got my youngest daughter is there now, and she shifted her schedule around so that she could start in engineering as a freshman. And I think that that's going to change the course of her life. She is just so hungry for it that I think that that is the direction that she's going to end up going. Brian, he graduated last year, and he's playing college football up north. And Coach Morton, the entire team there, really helped grow Brian. He played up as an 8th grader, and they treated my kid like he was their son. So Ballard has always stepped up for all of my kids when they had challenges, when they had some personal things going on. Sometimes kids don't want to talk to their parents about stuff that they're struggling with or that they're feeling, or, they're a little different than other people around them. And to have counselors or teachers to talk to in confidence and be able to keep you safe, make you feel safe, I think that's really, really important. So for me, a lot of folks at Ballard have kind of been an extension of our family looking out for my kids. So like I said before the meeting started, we've got a little guy in kindergarten, and one day he'll walk through those doors as well.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. That was just beautiful. All right, Mr. Allen, you've had now the experience of seeing the traditional side of things at Male High School. And now, if I remember, you've got a son who's a sophomore at Ballard currently.
Yes.
So I would love for you to compare and contrast your experience at Male and at Ballard. And I know that's not perfect because it's different kids, but I'd love for you to just reflect a little bit on that, compare and contrast.
At Male, I didn't. I guess it's a cultural thing. When you set up a school system, you're going to set it up in a way, I think, where the kids, when they walk in, they kind of have an expectation of what it's going to be. A traditional program, at least from the perspective I've seen in middle school, it was going to be strict, right? It was going to be rules. It was going to be, uniforms. It was going to be, there's not a lot of leeway to express yourself, outside of maybe changing your hair. So I've seen there's definitely a difference in how the kids are allowed to have a little freedom, which was nice. I grew up in a school where there's no hats allowed, there's no shorts allowed, there was none of that. Very strict, which was in the mid 90s. But it's nice to see they let the kids have a little expression where they can do their own thing and within bounds or whatnot. But it's nice to see that the kids don't feel I guess confined, that they're going to be in trouble if they might dye their hair blue or whatever. So because that's something kids like to do every now and then, is kind of change the way they look because they're growing. So I like that aspect. The campus, I don't know if just because of its geographical location, but every time I go on campus, no matter what time of day it is, it always seems like there's something going on. Like it's like a little small community, and there's always a sports team, or the band's practicing, or the soccer team's getting together, the football guys, or somebody's doing something over at the arts center. So it's always like it's bubbling with activity. So it always feels like it's living, even though the classes aren't in session. So at Mail, it kind of felt like at the end of the day, it was just time to cut and leave, because you got to do what you got to do. So I didn't see, outside of just being at games, maybe that there was a whole lot of extra going on at that school from a curriculum standpoint. I mean, it's similar. I do like the engineering path that my son is on. That really, I mean, when he saw that, I saw his eyes light up, and I knew this was going to be the school he wanted to go to. So, I mean, once we got accepted in, because we were living in Fern Creek at the time, we moved. So we now live over in Prospect. So we're in the same, to make it easy on all of us. But
Yeah.
as much time as we spend going there for sports and everything else that he wants to do there, that we just decided it'd be best just to move close. So that's the big difference.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm going to ask Tamika if she has any questions. I know she's driving. Tamika, do you have any questions?
No, I just think that it's nice that we do have dads that are willing to step up and be, because a lot of kids don't have role models as men, that these two men are willing to step up and to be the eyes for Ballard High School, as I will be leaving out this year with a senior. It just makes me proud that we are having people dads that step up to just be there for all the kids, just not one culture, but everybody at Ballard High School. So thank you, guys.
Yeah. Amen. Thank you, Tamika. That was great. Well, gentlemen, was there anything else you'd like to share with us before we close this meeting?
No, I'm good.
No, I've got to leave now because I got to go back to Ballard. So good timing.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. We will be linking this video when we send out your bios, and with the Google form for people to vote. And like Tamika said, I reflect to our gratitude. Thank you so much for being willing to give back to our Ballard community. You're both wonderful candidates, and we're thrilled to have you want to be on SBDM. So thank you so much. Good afternoon.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye, Tamika. Thank you.
You're welcome.